Hi, this is Linda with Help with Online Math. And today what I'm going to show you is how do we simplify with square roots. And this is a really simple strategy that I'm going to show to you. So that way you can utilize it whenever you're dealing with square roots. So let's simplify square roots and roots in general. Okay. Now here's my little strategy. And a lot of times students get really caught up in the fact that they're like, hey, I don't know what to do when, okay? So let's do this and let's kind of go through it so that you understand exactly what's happening whenever I'm dealing with a radical, okay? So let's suppose that I have a problem such as this. And I'm going to start with the cube root, okay? Because we're dealing with roots in general. So now what I'm looking for this index right here, I'm looking for 3's. So I'm looking for a cube root. Now, if you can't remember what are the perfect cube roots, here's a strategy that you can use. So I'm going to break this down into prime factors. And I'll pick any two factors. If you picked 8 and 3, it still would work. If you picked 2 and 12, it still would work. And let's break these further down into prime numbers only. Okay, remember factor trees from way back when? Let's utilize that. So I broke 24 down into all of these prime numbers. Remember, prime numbers are numbers that only have two factors, 1 and itself. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these numbers and I'm going to put it under my radical. And y'all can see my little script thing is doing little wacky little things like it likes to do. And there it goes. It's being wacky again, but that's all right. We're still going to make it work. So I'm going to put all of these numbers underneath here. And put my little cube here. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm looking for a trio of the same number because I got a 3 here. So I've got a trio of 2's. All right. They're going out on a group date. Okay. They're coming out of the house. So they're going as 1. 2 will come out. But since the 3 that's underneath the radical, it doesn't have any other buddies, he stays at home. He does not have a date, okay? Or a group of friends to go out with, okay? Let's try another one. Let's try example 2. And I like to write this because my handwriting is terrible. All right, so let's look at example 2. I'm going to do another one very similar to that one, okay? And this time I'm going to do a square root. The same process, okay? Same exact process involved. Okay. So right here, I'm going to do, instead of doing a cube root, let's do the same thing. I'm going to do this one first before I do a square root. So I'm going to do the cube root of 24a to the 4th. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still use my numbers from my earlier example. So I'm going to say 2, 2, 2, 3, and I'm going to expand out my a's, a to the 4th power. Everybody with me? If you're not, comment below if you're not. So I'm looking for, since my index is 3, the index of my square root or my root is 3, I'm going to circle trios. 3's, sets of 3's, okay? So I've got a set of 3 2's that are coming out, got tongue twisted. And then I've got a set of A's that are coming out, okay? All right, they're going out of the house. They are going together to hang out. And then who's going to be left at home? Well, 3, he does not have a buddy, or she, or they. And the A does not have a buddy. They stay home. Okay. All right. So let's do another one so that you get the idea of how to simplify. So I'm going to clear off just my examples here and so a couple more. Excuse me. So that you see that example. All right. So let's go and let's do example 3. Awesome, awesome, awesome. There we go. Click, click. All right. So this time I'm going to do another type. This time I'm going to do a square root. Okay. And there are days when my little writing example does not like to do right. And this is that day. Okay. But we are going on just the same. Make sure we are going to do what we need to do. So I'm going to do this as text, example 3. And y'all really don't want to see me write this. Honestly, you do not, because it's horrible, horrible, horrible. Right? You're like, oh my God, how did your students ever see this? They did exactly see it. But over the years, my handwriting has gotten horrible. All right, so let's do another one. And this time we're going to do a square root, if it will let me write. Yes, thank you. Start right there. Appreciate you so much. All right, and this time we are absolutely going to do a square root. That's a square root, y'all. 75 x to the third, okay? And we know this index, if it's not present, it's an understood 2. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the others. I'm going to break 75 down into prime numbers. Now here's the rule. If it ends in 5, it's divisible by 5. So that's 5 and what? If you're not sure how many times 5 will go into it, just divide it out on your calculator. So that's 5 and 15. That breaks down into 3 and 5. So I have all primes. Okay. So I'm going to put this underneath my radical. 3 times 5 times 5. And x and x and x. I'm expanding it out, like I showed you in an earlier example. Now, since this is an understood 2, I'm looking for pairs, okay? So I'm looking for sets of 2. All right, so that set of 2, they go out of the house. And this is a set. They come out of the house, okay? Who's left at home? 3. They don't have a date. And that X, they don't have a date. They don't have a buddy to leave the house with. So that's your final answer. Let's do another example with the square root so that you catch the pattern. I really believe in people catching the pattern. And I'll do one that's another square root one, since we have done one earlier that was a square root. And I hope that you are catching this pattern with this. If not, please comment below and let me know what you need to see to help you. All right, place my little cursor where I need it to go. And let's do this time, let's do 54. 54, square root of 54, x, y to the 4, okay? Now, I did not talk about this earlier, but when we are dealing with a square root or any even root, we always want to include absolute value because we know we're dealing with the principal root, okay? I just thought I'd throw that out there. We're not talking about the principal root today, but that is what we're dealing with. So I'm going to take my 54, just like I did earlier, And I'm going to break it down into factors, okay? 54, we know that's 6 times 9, okay? If you're ever not remembering them, if it's an even number, it's divisible by 2, okay? So I could have picked 2 and 27, same difference. So we'll still wind up with the same prime factors. Isn't that wonderful? No matter where we start, we wind up at the same place. So these are my prime numbers that I'm going to put underneath my radical. And I'm going to expand it out. So 2, 3, 3, and x, and I've got y to the 4. So that's y. All right. And remember, my index is 2. So that means I'm looking for pairs. So I got a pair of 3s. X doesn't have a buddy, and I've got 2 pairs of y. So I'm going to pull that out, and that's going to be 3y squared. And if you caught what I'm doing is I'm really looking for the square roots. That's what I'm looking for. So I'll put that out as absolute value of 3y squared, because that's my principal root. And I'll put times the square root of 6x. And I'm done. That is it. Okay. Thank you for coming and enjoying this video. If you could, please like, share, and follow. Okay. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.